Jeez, man, I take a little time off. I don't upload a video and the world just like blows up. So I've got a ton of stuff to talk about and I just don't have the time to edit it. So I think I'm just going to freeball it and kind of just shoot from the hip and you guys can let me know what you think. Make sure you like and subscribe. I got a ton of things that happened over the past couple of days, so I want to get into it. The first one I want to talk about is Mark Robinson. So we'll start out local here in North Carolina. For those of you who don't know who this guy is, he's the lieutenant governor here currently. He's running to be governor in North Carolina. And this massive story just blew up about him. It's a bunch of stuff from his past. So like I'll shorten it up and then I'll link the article. But CNN broke this thing about him like making all kinds of weird lewd comments on a porn site called Nude Africa. And they did a lot of work to try and link him up because like his name on there, like his screen name or his handle is Mini Soldier. But like on there, and like I said, I'll put all the stuff in the article on there, like it has his bio, it has his age, it has like where he's from. And they've gone back through and looked at like this screen name or this handle, and he's used it on multiple different like websites and social medias and things like that. They've linked up emails and stuff. It's him to a T. Obviously he's denying it, but I want to get into like what he's actually denying because it's crazy. So like honestly, I don't really care too much about like him being on a porn site. The only reason it's a big deal is because he's like super hyper socially conservative and he's very anti-transgender, and there's stuff in there about him liking trans porn. So I don't really want to get into all of Mark Robinson's like, you know, kinks or whatever, because like I said, I don't care. The only thing is like it seems to be the trend that like the people who are most vehemently like anti-gay are the ones who are like, you know, getting blown in a truck stop or whatever like by some other dude, you know. It's always been that case, and so it seems that way here with like, you know, the guy who's like vehemently anti-trans and you know, he's on a porn site liking trans porn. But that's not the point of this. The crazy part about this is that like he wrote back in 2010 that he's a black Nazi. He wrote, quote, "I'm a black Nazi," and said, quote, "Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few." What? But it gets better, man. So it says in March in 2012, Robinson wrote that he preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Barack Obama. He said, "I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now." Bunch of other slurs, like he went after Martin Luther King Jr. He called him a commie bastard. He called him a commie coon, like crazy stuff. Now, of course, he's come out and denied all of this. He's saying that this is all just some like tabloid hit job. But like I said, I'll link to the article. I'll let you guys read through where they've gone and taken screenshots of like all the things that Mini Soldier said, and then linked it up to other things that are like part of Mark Robinson's public profile. It's him. Like there's not a shadow of a doubt it's him. So yeah, I mean, like I said, he all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's running for governor right now. Now, the wild part that I want to talk about is like what happens here. So he's running against Josh Stein. Josh Stein is favored to win right now. I think he's up like 9 points in the polls. So it's really not a close race, but North Carolina is a heavily gerrymandered state, and it's controlled by Republicans. So like, even though we have a Democratic governor right now, and even though there's like a lot of Democratic voters here, it still ends up that like, you know, the way that they've gerrymandered it, the Republicans end up controlling the state legislature and all that stuff. the point that I think is interesting, and I can't remember if I made this point when I was talking about whether or not North Carolina would flip blue for the presidential race. I was saying I think it's a long shot, and that's part of it, but I just don't see how the race for governor can be almost double digits apart, and the race, like, favoring the Democrat, and the race for the president be like it, going towards Trump. I don't know. There's a lot of Trump people here. There's tons and tons and tons of Trump people here in North Carolina. But like I said, I would say that, like, there are people trying to call for him to drop out of the race. It's that bad. Obviously, he's saying he's not going to. Oddly enough, the deadline for him to do that would have been tonight, a couple hours ago, I think. So, should be interesting. Should be a wild ride. Can't believe that this stuff is going on. Like I said, the whole thing about the porn site, I don't really care. All the other stuff, like him praising Adolf Hitler and saying Hitler was better than Obama, and like saying that slavery was a good thing, and if he had the chance, he would buy slaves. It's like, it's nuts. Moving outward from there, I just think Republicans in general, like, are they trying to lose? Like, I used to fucking all the time be like, Democrats are trying to lose. Because whatever it is that's popular that the base actually wants, they're like, you know what? We're going to not do that. We're going to campaign on something against that, right? So in 2020, you've got all the normies are like, no, we don't think we should have universal health care. It's like, you idiots. This is a very popular issue, and that's why Bernie was so popular in 2020 and also in 2016. Now it seems like the Republicans are doing that. So, like, wild stuff going on. As far as, like, on the national level, the Republicans are trying to introduce a bill to make it so that, like, voter registration is even harder. It's called, like, the SAVE Act, and they're trying to shoehorn this into the budget because they have that thing coming up, and then, like, if they can't get a continuing resolution to fund the government, they're going to have a government shutdown on October 1st. And Donald Trump is saying, like, we have to have this because it's so important to make sure that our elections are secure. Okay. Putting aside that, like, they're already very, very secure elections and voter fraud is extremely, extremely rare, this would be a very expensive and unnecessary thing, and it wouldn't even be implemented before this election cycle. Like, it wouldn't even be implemented. So, I brought up that because I actually looked up, like, what the statistics were from the Cato Institute. And if you're not familiar with Cato, the Cato Institute is like a libertarian think tank, right? And so they did this thing called, this was back in May of 2024. It says, shedding light on the incidence of illegal non-citizen voting. And then it's talking about, like, how rare it is. And they basically say that, so here it says, rate at which non-citizens voted in recent elections. The results we show are completely accounted for by very low frequency measurement error. Further, the likely percent of non-citizen voters in recent U.S. elections is 0. So they go on to say 0, of course, functions here as a rounding number because it's more accurate than putting in, like, 3% or 5%. And so the article goes on to say that, like, it's a number somewhere between 0 and 1%, but it's so rare that it's closer to 0% in terms of, like, the amount of illegals voting in elections than it is to 1%. And so, of course, this is the thing that Republicans want to hang their hat on because they're all about, like, illegal immigrants are coming in and they're voting illegally and they're going to steal the election away, and the Democrats want illegal immigrants to vote. Setting aside the fact that none of that's true and none of that's founded, and this is, like I said, this is a libertarian think tank that's saying, like, hey, it doesn't happen. Like, it's just not in the data. Like, They have actually done. It says further down in this paper they've done studies of places, that are much more progressive, that would allow somebody who's like here in the U.S. but not like an official U.S. citizen to have the ability to vote on, not on a national level, but in like more local elections if they wanted. And illegal immigrants still don't really even vote in those. Like they just don't turn out. So the idea that people like are moving here just so that they can like steal your jobs and vote Democrat is absolutely ludicrous. Of course it is. But the Republicans want to shoehorn this thing in to the budget that's like they're trying to get this in, and if they don't, they're going to do a government shutdown on October 1st. Now, thankfully, there are a couple of people who have sense, like, I cannot believe the words are going to leave my mouth. Mitch McConnell is saying, guys, this would be so dumb, so dumb to do a government shutdown a month before the election. And he correctly assesses that the Republicans would be blamed for it because they would be the ones that are stopping them from being able to do a continuing resolution. So there's that, right? It's like, you guys actually think that this is a good idea. You want so badly to stop less than 1% of people who may vote. It's really tiny amount of people that may vote illegally, according to this, the study by the Cato Institute, that like you're willing to do a government shutdown in a presidential election year. I can't make this stuff up. It's so stupid. And then like apparently they're also trying to argue against like they just did this thing where they voted down IVF. And so like they had a chance to make it so that like IVF is legal in every state, because there's this big thing about like Alabama making it illegal, and the Republicans all voted against it, or it was like 44 Republicans all voted against it. I gotta find the video of it. I'll try and do a separate one just on that, but like literally like their weakest issue is abortion for one, but like reproductive rights in general for women. It's killing Republicans. And this guy comes out and he basically says, yeah, we let me just be clear. The Republican position is we unequivocally support IVF. But the reason we all voted against this is because this is just the Democrats playing politics, and they're just trying to to win over voters during election. It's like, oh my God, you friggin' idiot. They're playing politics maybe, but like also the reason that like this is an issue is because Republicans have made reproductive rights an issue. And you morons all just voted against this. The pro-life party all just voted against this. Like, what are you doing? And they needed like 60 votes for it to pass the Senate, and they didn't make it. And I think I understand why, I guess, from the like the pro-life position. Like, if you're not familiar with like how IVF works, you have to harvest eggs from the woman who's trying to conceive but having trouble, and then like you take the sperm, you are trying to like inseminate a bunch of these all at the same time. So then you get these fertilized eggs, and then once they start to form, like once they split and the zygote becomes an embryo, they start to become a cluster of cells. Then the idea is that you implant the embryo back into the woman, and then hope that it actually attaches and starts forming a baby. Now, the bad part of this is, I guess, the bad part is that like if one of these works and you have like 10 different samples of embryos, then you have like, in their view, like 9 abortions sitting there that like you didn't actually carry through to term. it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But I think that that's the reasoning behind the like, yeah, let's get rid of IVF because, we're pro-life, but like we don't want to waste any of those like cluster of cells that hasn't actually like formed into anything yet. Unbelievable. Moving even further out, and I got to talk about this because this is nuts if you haven't seen this. So like in the past couple of days, there was this massive terror attack. Apparently like there were these exploding like walkie-talkies and pagers that targeted all Hezbollah people. And so there it's not really proven yet that like it was definitely Israel, but I mean like let's just be real. Like what do we think is actually happening here? And I don't think they've come out and denied it either. So like there's video of this everywhere. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this or not cuz like it's like they're like people like bleeding out in the streets because their pager that they wore on their hip exploded. And so like if it didn't outright kill them, and it's killed like a couple dozen people I think at this point, it's injured hundreds and hundreds of people, including innocent people standing next to those people. So like they're getting like big explosion, like wounds and lacerations and stuff on like their hip and around their crotch and stuff, like where a pager would sit. And like it's actually like they accidentally or maybe purposefully, like whatever, like killed a kid because the pager wasn't on the guy, but there was a kid that was near it and it killed the child because of that. And the implications of this are absolutely nuts because it's like, if you can make like this thing into an explosive, like it's nuts. It's super scary. And I don't know how they did it, but like I said, this is insanity. So Israel today is doing airstrikes in Lebanon against Hezbollah fighters as well. So like I have no doubt in my mind that it was probably Israel that did the exploding pagers as well. Like I said, I don't think that part's been proven yet, but dot here, connect the dots. And they're doing airstrikes in Lebanon right now, and this is all a part of Israel's desire to do a greater war with the region. Netanyahu wants to go after Hezbollah. He's attacking right now in Lebanon, and they've already invaded the West Bank. I did a story about that a while ago, but like, so you've got the invasion of the West Bank. You've got them stepping up the violence in Lebanon. They're attacking people in Beirut, and the why people should care about it here is like you always have like the October surprise of like what's going to happen. It's September now, but maybe this is the September surprise. But like my concern, aside from the fact that Israel is a rogue state and they're trying actively to seek a greater war with the rest of the region, is that Netanyahu is going to try and drag the United States into it. And Joe Biden is dumb enough to go along with it instead of like condemning Netanyahu and cutting off the weapons and cutting off the funding and all of that stuff. They are dumb enough to get dragged into that. And if that has political implications here, it's like Biden's not running, Kamala is. But if she's associated with what's happening with the Biden administration, what's happening with Israel, if the United States ends up getting dragged into that mess, it could hurt the Democrats during the election. So absolutely wild. Like I said, I didn't do anything for, I guess, a day or maybe 2 days. I can't remember how long it's been. I was super busy. And all of this stuff happened all at once. I haven't even touched half of the stuff that I wanted to. But yeah, crazy stuff going on. So, like I said, I just thought it'd be fun to jump on here and kind of freeball and just give my opinion about a couple of these things going on. And I'll get back to, making more refined content, I guess, tomorrow. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Helps me out. Growing a pretty decent clip. Like I said, goal of getting to 500 before the election. I think we can do it. And just tell a friend if you like this kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.